Hello, and welcome back to City Skylines. Today we're going to be killing with the city. I had actually a bit of a problem when I was trying to record a couple minutes ago, and something came up with the recording software, so there's just a little change in both here and there, with a bit more residential, and I've added a police department because we had a terrible, terrible crime problem here. And actually, before this problem, I was trying to actually begin a topic, a very serious topic, so I'm going to try and rethink about talking about it this time, but it's something I really can't leave, and it's what happened recently in the United States. And I'm not really trying to advocate for either side of what happened. And someone's going to say, "What you mean either side? There's only one side to be on." And I'm not trying to push that I'm on side of anything. I don't believe what officers did was correct, but at the same time, what happened last night in Dallas is something I want to address. I'm not going to get onto the position of regulation of police, even though I do believe that there is something wrong if a police officer can consider that. I don't understand why any human would consider that taking another life is the right call in a situation like that. But I'm talking more or less on what happened in Dallas. If you don't know what happened in Dallas, and are watching this in the future and don't understand what happened in Dallas there was a shooting. It wasn't a mass shooting. It was, well, maybe you consider it as mass, but one man with a sniper rifle with probably armor-piercing rounds shot at the officers protecting, Caucasian officers to be specific, protecting the overseeing the Black Lives Matter protest in Dallas. Now, this protest was peaceful. It was a peaceful protest. No one was having issues. No one was doing something wrong. And then, a rifle is open fired. And people are panicked. People are scared. Officers are being shot. Officers are going down. There's nothing else to say about it that officers were being killed. Or not killed, that officers were shot. And 5 officers were killed, and two civilians were injured, and I think 7 other officers were injured. To be in total, there was 14 casualties, I think, and 12 officers, 12 officers as part of that, 5 of which were killed. And I know what happened in the United States involving the 2 recent, very, very recent killings of the black men are a big problem, and it's not something I'm advocating that was good. I'm just saying how this man reacted to it and what was done. It's a terrible, terrible thing. This man was, yes, an African American, and I'm not saying that I'm not trying to racially profile that because he's African American he did this. I don't know why he would do this. He was ex-army. He did have a high-powered rifle. And I don't really want to say it's the fault of a man. I don't want to say it's the fault of the police that this happened. I don't want to blame it on anyone other than a couple problems that the United States has. And holy crap, there's a lot of rain. But what you really got to look at it as is there is a problem with both regulation of police and firearms in the United States. The police don't have much regulation, and I don't mean this as, who polices the police kind of regulation. Well, maybe I am, but there is a problem when your hired officers think that shooting a man is the best course of action. There's a problem when killing someone is thought of as the best course of action. It should be the last resort. Even tasing should be a last resort. Problems should be thought of diplomatically, not as how they were handled. And it's a terrible thing that an officer did consider that as the proper way to take care of a situation. And I really don't know why it would happen. But then the bigger issue is, and the issue I am more opinionated on, is the fact of owning firearms. I'm not saying that you can't have guns in America. I'm not trying to say we're going to take away the guns. Because even though I don't believe in owning firearms, a lot of people in America do, and it is a part of their amendments. You know, the Second Amendment to own a firearm in protection of yourself and so forth. But, and this is a fairly large but, like, fairly large Nicki Minaj song style but, there should be some regulation over it. And I'm not trying to be prude, I'm not trying to say, you know, America is bad because you got too many darn guns. I'm trying to say, look at Switzerland. You're going to be a bit confused when I say that, but look at Switzerland. If you don't know, Switzerland has the same guns America does. They got assault rifles, they got, you know, semi-automatics, they got this and that, and it's because Switzerland, the people of Switzerland and their population is kind of population militia. Switzerland believes that its own people should be the militia in times of crisis. But with that comes, you know, what you're going to do with the guns. People have guns, and if you do something bad with the guns, what's going to happen? How are you going to stop someone from doing something bad with having guns? So the guns are registered. The guns are kept in lockboxes. The guns are protected. Like, they're kept out of the hands of children. There's no way a child will use a gun. Or will probably get to the gun. And it's regulated. But there's none of that in America. There's no regulation for guns. Some guns are outlawed. You know, sometimes you need a permit for concealed carry, but some states you don't. And I'm not trying to assume here, but I think Texas is one of the states that has the you don't need a permit for concealed carry. You don't need a license. You can just carry around a gun. I might be wrong, but you could still in Texas buy a high power rifle without someone looking into it, looking into your well-being, looking into what your health is. And I know I shouldn't be saying that gun crime happens because you're mentally unstable. That's completely false. Studies show that if you have mental illness, you're more likely to be a victim of gun crime than to commit a gun crime. But something caused this man to finally take drastic action and shoot at this protest and shoot at officers, and specifically targeting Caucasian officers and protesters who were at the event. And I'm not going to try and get into anything racial here, blaming him or anything. I'm just saying you need some regulation over firearms to stop events like this. And I'm not trying to put this as the main issue. The main issue was still that 2 men were killed by officers because they thought it was the right thing to do. And it never should be. And maybe regulation should be with officers and guns. Maybe you should look more into how your officers will react before they are allowed to carry a firearm. And I know you're thinking, but the police need firearms. Yes, police do need firearms. And you have police officers with very high power firearms. There's police officers in small areas of Kansas that have a tank, and if you don't believe me, I could link a video in the description of these police officers who got a tank to protect, and I'm serious, terrorist attacks from their pumpkin festival. Or maybe it was a corn festival. It was some kind of festival that happens in a country that revolves around some kind of harvest vegetable. It was a tank. What officer needs a tank? If you're protecting from terrorists with a tank, that means terrorists somehow have weapons that can defeat tanks within America. And I don't even think terrorists would come after some, you know, country harvest festival. But, you know, they got a tank. There's some with APC bobcats that tear up roads. There's some with, you know, ridiculous vehicles. There's got to be a problem with your police force when you're giving the police force the weapons the army has. And, you know, being a bit of a hypocrite here because, you know, in Canada we have the RCMP, which is a paramilitary force. But that's more or less, in time of war, they can become, you know, our soldiers and protect those are protectors. But that doesn't mean that they have tanks. The RCMP in Canada does not have tanks. I don't know why any police force would have tanks. You know, maybe the SWAT or ERT or your version of high armament police have, you know, these high armored vehicles in case of emergency, but I don't think they would be tanks. I don't think they would be Apex. You know, if you don't know what an APC is, it's an armored person carrier, usually with a turret on top, big, difficult vehicle, can probably withstand a few explosive shells, not high explosive, but normal explosive shells. It's a military vehicle that shouldn't be allowed, yet people have it. Police have it. And there's going to be a problem with your police regulation if you have it. And I thought I put down a high school. Oh, I put down the elementary school, didn't I? But not on that, but on this police issue, and it extends a bit more that you have this racist problem within police. I'm pretty sure the police, like, I know racial profiling is a thing, but it shouldn't be that prominent of an issue. I'm not saying it's not an issue, I'm just saying it shouldn't be. I don't think an officer should, you know, I know racial profiling maybe gets sometimes a case done, maybe, you know, protects a citizen or two, but it shouldn't be what you base your investigations off of. It shouldn't be this necessary thing. It shouldn't be this or that. And it shouldn't mean you're going to kill someone because their skin color is not your skin color. And even furthermore on it, the idea of race, this racist idea that is race that we have, is not made for whatever reason you may think. It was made by Europeans, and it didn't start off as trying to differentiate people of a darker skin color. It started off as trying to differentiate people from English or German, Swiss or Norwegian, Sweden, like, well, Norway was, but it was trying to identify these things. And when the Europeans started venturing out into the world and colonizing, and this big colony phase that no one, you know, really talks about, is when race was made, when it became the European race, which later became Caucasian race, and then every other race that they found in the area, because they had a darker skin color, because they weren't white. And you look at issues like in Rwanda, there was the issue where the Dutch, I'm pretty sure it's the Dutch, you can correct me on that if you wish, but I'm pretty sure it's the Dutch came to the Rwanda area, and there was two tribes, the Hutus and the Tutsis. Maybe it was it started with a T, and I know the other one's the Hutus, or maybe it's the Hutus and the Tutsis. I forget the names exactly. I know it sounds something around that. And it was very, not recent, but more recent enough to talk about, where within their own country, their own people in their own country, that they're still racist towards, and they started to kill them. Or they started to kill these other people in their own country because the Dutch, back when they colonized, said, these people have lighter skin color than those people, they must be the ones we like more. And I just can't take that as valid. I can't even understand that. But, you know, it's the past. But what happened with that is they looked at race, two, you know, one lighter color skin tone to another. Isn't that much of a difference if you think about it. But it happened. And further to think about it, it happens all the time where we look at two people. One's white and one's black. And the difference between them that we look at is the white one has white pigment, or a lighter pigment, and the black one has darker pigment. And we assume them as such different people. And if you're in racial profiling, it may get you to some places. It may get you to some assumptions. Like, I'm going to say we use white people as an example, that all white people love to pick berries. It's a fact, a lot of white people do like to go berry picking. I'm going to agree with this. I like to go berry picking. Well, as I did as a kid, I don't really much anymore because that's going outside. But it's still a racial profiling. Not everyone does, but a lot of white people do enjoy berry picking. I don't know why, it just does. And that is a racial profile. It is a stereotype. It's like saying all Canadians love Tim Hortons. Sure, I love Tim Hortons, but it's not like every Canadian likes Tim Hortons. I know plenty of people who don't like Tim Hortons. It's not to say that, like, It's not trying to push opinions on anyone about anything, but it comes down to all these racial things. It comes down to, when you look at it, you're judging someone based on their pigment compared to your pigment, and they're different, and that's bad. You're looking at it as, if you say you're a white man, and you walk down the street, and there is a black man who's just in a hoodie, a plain black hoodie with blue jeans. Maybe he has some sunglasses on because it's hot out, like the sun's out. It's not that hot out today, hence the hoodie. And he has, let's say, Air Jordans. He's a basketball fan. He has some Air Jordans. I'm not saying he has Air Jordans because he's black. I'm saying it's because he's a basketball fan. My friend's Filipino and he has Air Jordans. He's a big basketball fan. And you assume this guy's probably a hoodlum. You're that kind of racist. Or you assume this man is a hoodlum. The next day you go to the bank and he's the manager. He's a successful person. And you made this racial profile just because of how he looked. Because of what he was wearing, because of his skin color. If you saw an Asian person, or a white person, or Hispanic, or a penguin wearing that, you would assume something different, but his skin color makes you assume one thing. It makes you think of this racist thing. And growing up, I would see this all the time where people would, I'm going to say a bit of a personal thing. When I was a kid, I grew up only knowing what white people and Asian people looked like. Because all my friends and all the people around where I grew up were either white or Asian. Mostly white. But there was Asian people. I had Asian friends. And then I see probably one of the first Indo-Canadian people, and this is just when I can talk, so I'm really young. You can't take this. I am super young. And I don't say anything racist. I just ask my mom, why this kid is this color? And she just says that he comes from a different area in the world where people are that color because of the sun, because of this and that. And I accept it. But then I hear sometimes parents saying other things. Racist parents, bigot parents. Saying, they're that color because they're damn dirty black. Or something like that. And they put things under and say all these false opinions and false things about these people. And, they put it as, this race is this color, and they're under us. This race is that, and they're below us. This is that, that is this. And it's just, they put it as these bad things. They put it as terrible things. And as a kid, you're impressionable. You start to grow up with that. You grow up saying those things. You grow up not being biased. You're being biased to not like certain people because you grew up learning that they were bad, that they were this, that they were that. You grow up with the racial profiles. And it starts to get to you, and you start to become more racist. You see it all the time, and you ask why racism is still a thing. It's because people still say to their kids this and that. It's still because people see something different. They don't like it. That's what it really just comes down to. They're different. They're different from you in one slight way, and you might not know how skin color works. It's because there's sunlight where they originated from, and the skin put more melatonin, I think. No, melatonin makes you sleep. It's the chemical that causes pigment in the skin, and their body adapted and had more of this pigment color. White people, and as further up you go north in Europe, they're blonde, they have blue eyes, they're more pale. That's all because there was less sun. So more mutation happened with the skin and the hair to, reflect sunlight and stuff, to be less visible in the snow and all these things. And that's just how evolution happened. But then you see more of it. And you see people being racist. You see people saying differences. You see people not liking this race or not liking that race because they're different. You see people saying that, you see people making differences on a race just because they're a different race. You see people attacking races because they're a different race. Because they're a different skin color. And I don't know, I feel like I've said race way too many times. And I feel like this has all been way too serious. And I don't feel like I should be this serious over a topic. or talk about this much of a serious topic already, but it kind of gets to me. When you see people treating other people because they're a race, if you're going to treat someone badly, you should have some justification other than race. If you treat someone bad, I don't feel like you should treat anyone badly, but if you are, it should be like they, stole your lawnmower and beat your brother, and they're whatever skin color shouldn't matter. You shouldn't base your opinion on other skin colors because of one person did something. Maybe because there's this guy named Hank, and he's Hispanic and he lives in your neighborhood, and he does crime, doesn't mean all Hispanic people do crime. Like, it just comes down to opinionation. You're not giving people enough of a chance. And God, I've been serious for like this whole episode. Like, it's been 20 minutes already, and I've been just talking about this really serious topic, and I'm actually deeply sorry that if I've said anything to offend you. I don't think I would have, but I may have said a bit too much. And it might be a good place to leave this where it is and let it lie. Maybe be a bit more happy next time and not talk about something so wildly serious as Dallas shooting, as the racial problems, as gun control in America, as police officers owning tanks, and yeah. I more or less just rambled on and on about racial issues, and I'm sorry that this happened, but it was something that was getting to me, and it is something that came out. If this at all offended you, I am deeply, deeply sorry. So, I'll leave it here. If you all at all were watching more for the city, we've built more residential, more industry, a lot less than we did the other day. More, and that's just going what happens when I talk about something serious. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I don't know if you would have. I did go on a big tangent on racial issues. But all in all, I hope you did not get offended over anything I said, and I hope the rest of your day is a good day. It's been the mighty Bjorn. I hope you're all well. Farewell.